Hello everyone, it's Thumper the Rabid Rabbit, and welcome to the first installment of my new Rust Electricity 101 series, The Component Guide. Of course, if you're going to make a component guide, you have to start with the most basic of components, and today that is the wire tool. Who doesn't love the wire tool? You can't really do anything with Rust Electricity without it, so it should be your best friend. The wire tool is a default blueprint that you should have available to you on almost every server right from the start, and it typically will cost you around 5 high quality metal to craft. Get used to having a lot of high qual around because you need it for just about everything electrical in Rust right now. There's two things that the wire tool is most useful for. Number one is revealing and connecting handles on components. You can see as I mouse over these components, little white boxes appear. Those are the handles to which you can connect wires. This switch has an input and an output. This OR switch has two inputs and an output. And slightly more complicated example here, the counter has an input, an output, and 3 handles on the sides for incrementing, decrementing, and clearing the counter. In addition, you'll notice that these handles also have little lightning bolt icons that say what they're connected to and how much power is either coming in or going out. I'd use caution when you're looking at that number because it isn't necessarily accurate all the time. Sometimes it shows combined values and not necessarily what is actually coming into any one handle or going out of any one handle. So kind of take that with a grain of salt right now. It's still early game for these components. You use the wire tool to connect things together by simply left clicking on a handle and then left clicking on another handle you want to connect it to. You are limited to connecting things that are appropriate. For example, connecting 2 input together will not work because there's really no point in connecting 2 inputs, and that would be dumb, so don't do that. You can use the right click held down on a handle to clear a connection. So left, left, hold down right, clears a connection. Also, when I started a connection that I don't want to have anymore, right-clicking gets rid of that wire I was starting to draw. In addition to showing you the handles and the input-output information or power unit information, the wire tool will also show you the charge remaining or charge left timers on the batteries. Here's a default small battery and large battery, each with their 2-minute, 0-second timers remaining. You'll notice if I switch to a hammer, all I can do is pick these up. It doesn't really show me any information about the time, and also the hammer doesn't show me any handles on any of these components. So the wire tool is very necessary for that information. When you're connecting things with the wire tool, you'll see that 2 numbers appear. The top number is the maximum length that you can extend to this segment of wire. You can staple it or click along the wall and the floor to connect it to points, and you'll see that the lower number decreases every time I do this. That lower number represents the maximum number of times you can attach the wire to a wall, floor, ceiling, or other surface. You start with the ability to connect it 16 times and go up to 30 meters. This doesn't mean that your maximum electrical connection can only be 30 meters. It just means you can only go 30 meters between components. Once you connect to another component, you can start another wire and another 30 meters. That can come in handy when you're building large bases and need to run wire a lot of different places over great lengths. You'll also notice that as I turn away from a solid surface, the line does turn red and say no surface. This means I'm not pointing to a surface that's within my sphere of influence here for connecting things. So make sure you're close enough to connect things and make sure they're within your distance and number of segments that you can attach to a surface. I'm going to show you a quick example of how to connect a number of components here for a basic solar powered light, just so you can get an idea how this works. You can see how the output of the solar panel is 20 units. It's empty, connected to nothing. I can staple it either directly from the floor to this switch, in which case it'll hang in the air. It is not a physics rendered object, so you can walk right through these wires. If you want to connect them directly between components, without connecting them to any surfaces. You're certainly welcome to do that. Connecting them to surfaces is purely an aesthetic thing at this point. That's not to say in the future they may not make these cables actually get in your way and block things. I'm going to connect it to this switch. I'm going to run it through an AND switch just for fun, and then I'm going to run it up here onto the ceiling to this light, where I want to show you a quick tip that's a little bit of a bug and may catch you in certain circumstances. When I'm close to this light, you can see it's pretty easy for me to drag the wire over and the power in handle lights up and I can connect to it. But if I move a little distance away here, you'll notice that I can still see the power in handle appear, but every time I try to mouse over it, it disappears. You'll run into this on occasion when you're at a distance or an angle that is just not quite right. You can fix this obviously by getting a little closer in this case, or in some cases you may not be able to get closer, so you may need to jump or crouch to be able to reach that handle and connect to it. So if you're having trouble reaching a handle that you can kind of see but can't really get to it to mouse over and click on before it disappears on you, try jumping or crouching to get the proper angle or distance from that handle to connect to it. That should just about cover the basics of the wire tool. Again, you can left click to connect things, right click to cancel connections or clear connections from existing handles that are connected together, and you can use it to show you information about the input and output per handle and the available charge time that's left on batteries.